Hello, my hosts, and welcome to another editing stream. I need to get these are always a little hard to set up. There we go. I'll pop that out. Really? That didn't work. Maybe. Hi. Keep up. Win Control T. Okay. Win Control. Ah. There we go. Now we can see what we're doing. All right, we're all set up. You're on my screen. Excellent. Now we've got to add some animations in. Functions, like it's a really weird pronunciation of that word. Tend. Let's get that there. Actually put up one level. Throw in a background. Where's the background button? How have people been, by the way? I hope that people have been good. Generators, there we go. Color. Behold the suck machine, yep. Why is that scaled like that? I'm trying to think of functions like a factory, transforming mathematical objects from one type into another. I'm trying to think of functions like they're a little factory, transforming mathematical objects from one type into another. Okay, that's how long that's supposed to be. So let's use adjustment filter and we'll do it in Fusion. Because it's processing each number and turning each number into its successor. That's the idea. I'm wondering if you're having that confusion, I should change the animation slightly. Let's do that then. Yeah. File. Save. Let's get Blender up and running. That's going to go blank in the background. Fire that up. Give me a split second. All right. Here we go. Here's the machine. Oh, hold on. Gotta remember that I have to do that. Huh. Ah, no. Shouldn't be too long. All right, let's... If you are confused about it, other people might be as well. It's good to have feedback. So we go one in. Let's... What's the button for it? Duplicate. Move this back a bit. Now I reckon if we have more of a distance, it will aid people thinking that it's a separate number. And we go like that. About there, and we'll have to adjust the animation timings because they're no longer linked. So how does that go? Ah, just... Oh. Ah. I also think having a separate number there will help as well. Okay. Okay. I think that means those have been set. Second number is not moving as fast as the first. So let's go into animation. We're going to adjust the slope angles. This is probably the 2 here. Now, if we go forward, why is it going off at an angle? That's weird. Let's copy that. Hold on. Is it going off at an angle? Yes, it is. Okay. So that is the X value. So copy the X value. Paste the X value. Still moving around. Hi, Jordan. I'm doing quite well. So you're text 003. X action. X location. There we go. Let's flatten out. That. Now, if we play this, it's still moving weirdly. That's... Is it? Yes, it is. Why did it do that on me? Okay. Now it's flat. I think. No, it's still... Oh, it's floating as well. That's its Z value. Okay. Good. No problem, New Haven. All righty. It makes numbers go up by 1. So what I want to do, go to shading, this number, duplicate that. Oops. let's change that color. Ah, thank you very much. Okay. Now, if we go like that, I have to adjust the speed of the 2 slightly. Let's think. Okay. The Y location here. Yeah, makes it more like they are distinct numbers. Okay, that's slightly faster, it looks. Is there any way to see it better? Yeah, you can see it's sort of catching up. So make it slightly slower. I think that's better. Let's have a look how it looks rendered. Good. Okay, next step. So we deal with the output. We remove the array. Stop that spot. I'm going to do this backwards. So to get the distance right, should emerge fully at that spot there. That should be like that. That should be 3. We'll swap the color over here. So it's the same as the 2 that went in. So it gives the whole idea. This is the old number made new. Animation. I think that's going to be right. Hold on. Nope. Forgot to set the keyframe. So do that like that. Hit I think that will fix that. Yeah. Then it becomes weird. All right. just adjust this so that it is straight. That's too fast. Ah, is that the famous integer between 2 and 3? Can you not do that? Okay. Sometimes it grabs onto the wrong thing. Unless it's that. Okay. That's even faster. That's not what we want. Let's pick you. Then pick you. Okay, you're number 4. Adjusting your Y location. So it should be parallel to that. What? It's better. It's keeping the same time, so we move that down. Just that. Still a little bit too fast. There we go. That's what we want to see. Okay, let's get rid of that. Delete that keyframe. Oh. Still. I hate how it does that. Still a smidgen a bit faster than I want. Okay. Is that faster or slower? A touch bit too fast. Okay, that's what we want. Let's get back to the layout. Just do a little trial animation. Okay, I think that works. Let's save that. I will render that out later. And we'll go back to editing. um, let me get back into the void. There it goes. All right. Let's get my editing program back up and running. Good old DaVinci Resolve. All right, there. And I try. Oh. Now, what we can do is, even though we haven't got the new animation rendered, we can use the old animation as a placeholder. And when we rebuild the animation, that will be updated. Media pool. There we go. Optical flow. Time stretcher. Flow like that. Black background. We can make that stars or something if we ever want to, but we'll leave it like that. That's our suck machine. Okay. 0 at that point. And go 3:16 here. Okay. It's going to take a while to process because it's optical flow. The advantage is that DaVinci Resolve will interpolate a whole of the extra frames between our animation frames purely visually. That one's, look at that single cog spinning so much faster than the rest. And it's all cached now. Why am I not hearing the sound in the background? I'm not sure. And one cog's putting all in all the work. Yeah. Okay. How long have we been? Oh, I should do my stretches. Let me get onto that right now. Yep. Okay, stretches done. It's not building games like Factorio and Satisfactory, and I tend to think of functions like they're a little factory, transforming mathematical objects from one type into another. So, how do we represent a bijection in this machine perspective? Let's start with the identity. Here. Now, I already prepared those. I have to copy that from the source to the destination. Okay. Let's go here. Is this what I want? Not quite. Ah. Okay. That doesn't work. That doesn't work at all. Okay. I'm going to have to rebuild my animations for that. That's fine. Sorry, you can't see what I'm seeing, but I was doing some experiments before and I made some test animations. And I realized that I've re-rigged the shape language that I was using. Okay. We can live with that. That does mean I probably have to do that. Oh, we can do that here. Let's get Emacs up and running. Ah. Oh, where is... Ah, cool. Okay, that's a bit of the rust I was working on before. That's not what we are here for today, though. MMN CTG. Really? That, okay. Uh, Trying to find... Ah, here it is. I'm now confused. ID. Okay, just let me try this again. Because that looks really odd. Actually, I can, sorry, I'll run this over here. Oops. Sorry, I'm not being quite as communicative. There we go. Just trying to think. Try device is not a TT, but it's NPTY. Okay, I can't do that. That's weird. I guess I have to run that. Can't run that as a shell. So we can go like that. Move that. And ID to F like that. We run this in Docker. Let's see if this gives us an error message or something. Yep. ID block missing one positional argument T. Yes, it is. Uh-huh. That would be its type. IFFFF. A lot of these animations I create late at night and losing all creativity to write meaningful messages. Uh-huh. So it's IF there. That has a label of A. So this should be A. Let's try running that again. Right. That runs off in the background. Fortunately, we've got a whole lot of other things using our GPU and CPU at the moment. like myself and DaVinci Resolve, so this takes a little bit longer than normal. This one is Python, yes. The MAmin package, which a lot of people use for doing math explainer animations, is all written in Python. Okay, writing that. And then I'll join those two together. Okay. It's a 19.1 available, but that's neither here nor there, which... Okay, ID to F. Okay, it's now made the animation that I want. That. Yep. Okay. Now I'm just gonna make a few alterations here. IFF there. This one. F func. I want it to be F colon A to B. And I want that one to be colon B to A, if I could hit the right buttons. If you are used to programming in Python, it isn't that hard. There are a lot of manuals and there's a lot of community support for it. And worst comes to worst, you just keep hitting your head, making small changes and following down the error messages. Alrighty. Let's see how that works out. Right there. Like, I've added a whole lot of little supporting functions for myself, like the surrounding function graphic. Okay, right, A to B, that's good. All right. And you should soon see that's, oh. problem is, since I've made this longer, this is not working out. So surrounding function graphic. I need to make this wider, I think. So that buffer doesn't work properly. Let's try that. Actually, what I can do, I can probably make it more visible to everybody. Let's see. All right. Now you'll be able to see the intermediate stages. It's compiling in the background at the moment, creating the image. It takes a little bit of time because it's running in a Docker environment in Python. All right, let's see what it turns out to be like. Oh, it comes on the... Oops. Now, when we play it, why is that still too long? And that's not long enough. That's a pain. Let's see what we can do. Now, what we can do is adjust that. Give it more of a buffer. Like the pup, but even more so. Okay. Oh, that compiled fast. That's cool. Huh? Why didn't that make any difference? Did I not save it? Thank you. Did it? The reason why it ran quickly is because it didn't make any changes, or... Okay. Fnver func. Why? For mod. Am I using the wrong? IFFI, IFFI, F in Vin Fang, info box. Why does it take that as an argument? Where does it use that? Oh, oh, it uses the height of the other one. Okay. That's fine. Let's multiply that by 3. See if that works better. All right. The good thing about this programming language, just want to make double sure, yeah, ID to F, ID to F. So it does make pretty graphics. For some reason, it's not coming out to coat those areas. Why is that not doing as it should? Okay. Surrounding function graphics. Okay. Makes an MN object. Checks it off. Buff, move to buff group. Okay. And it's a function graphic. Stretch to fill width, stretch to fill height. Okay. Height and width. Width is 2 times that. 2 plus 2 times the buff. Okay. I'm just going to try something. Are we even altering the right thing? Comment that out. Set the buffer to 0. Hold on. I have realized what my mistake is. Oh no, we've got the text box passed in. Hold on. M objects, yep. Okay, it does do that. Okay. Why are we not getting there? Yes, it is indeed Emacs. I have been an Emacs user for quite a long time. Let's do that. And I know that should be wrong, but it'll tell me if the process we're doing is broken. Consider a stretch. Yep. I'll start this going and then I'll stretch. There we go. All right. Ah, okay. Well, that's interesting. We increased the buffer size, but the buffer didn't get bigger. So there's some max value for the buffer that means that it gets ignored after that. Let's try setting the buffer value to 0. This is sort of experimental programming, where you write a program and see what it does and get information from that. Okay. Ah, that's weird. Setting buffer to 0 seems to increase the amount of buffer we get. Actually, hold on. What happens if we let it be the default rather than explicitly setting it to 0. Which UI clutter are you thinking of? Okay, hold on. That actually doesn't look too bad. Okay, I think I will live with that as our animation for the concept. All right, now let's get back to DaVinci Resolve. Here we are. Throwing our adjustment clip here. This machine perspective. Let's start with the identity function. This is a function that returns what it takes in without making a change. Now, it's obvious that both the domain, the place where stuff is coming from, I'm going to probably add some, hold on, I'm going to put a placeholder here, just to remove that. Let's start with, this is a function that returns, the red mark here, make an animation showing ID doing nothing. Identity coming from the, I think it's the Greek root meaning same. And we use the idea of identity. We use the word identity to mean who you are because it's the thing about you that is same through time. This is a function that returns what it takes in without making a change. Now, it's obvious that both the domain, the place where stuff is coming from, and the codomain, place that stuff is going to, of the identity function must have the same number of elements in them because they're the same collection. An identity function, okay, an identity function is a, oops, let's get rid of that bit where I cough. All right. The identity function is a bijection, and we will also smooth that over. Smooth transition, which is very short and almost invisible, but means that there's no weird jump there. Is a bijection from a collection of objects to itself. So it expresses the rather simple idea that a collection has the same cardinality as itself. If we split, that's the bit where I want to put this bit. If we split identity function into two separate functions, one that transforms the elements from its domain into some other form within a codomain, and then we have a matching inverse function which takes the intermediate form from that. If we split identity function into two separate functions, okay, like that. Ah, teal. What a wonderful color. There we go. Ah, are you going to mention the equivalence? And I actually mention the univariance axiom in passing in a bit when I talk about the Boolean type, but I'll go into it in more depth in another video because I think it deserves a video all of itself. Right there. We'll expand that. Does that last for the whole duration? Huh? Ah, I mean, it's already 39 minutes long. Flow. Type stretcher. Set that there. 0. Ah. 20. And do you know the shocking part? I don't. This is part 1. I don't actually get to talk about the theorem yet. Why is that? This is all the context. Yeah. Functions. What's going on here? If we split identity function into two separate functions, if we split identity function, the theorem is Lowell's fixed point theorem, which basically says if you can encode within a system a way of talking about the system within that system is either degenerate or self-contradictory. That's a really high level and grossly misleading explanation of the theorem. Itself. If we split identity function into two separate functions, one that so we're going to have this expand to show the forward function and this expand to show the backward function. One that transforms the elements from its domain into some other form within a codomain. And then we have a matching inverse function, which takes the intermediate form from that function's domain and transforms it back into the original. Then the intermediate collection. Degenerate, does that just mean weird behavior? In this case, it means that every function has a fixed point. That means every function in the system has some value that if you put in a value, the same value will come out. Like, for example, the fixed point of multiplication is 0. Because if you actually fixed point of multiplication is 1. Because if you put in no, that's not quite right. I'm just trying to think of a good fixed point. As the object of the truth values is truthful. Yeah. That's one way of interpreting it, yeah. But the other one is that every function has a fixed point. So I'm just trying to think of a good example of a fixed point you'd be familiar with. Okay, the multiplication by 2 function has a fixed point at 1. Because if you put, hold on, multiplication by 2 doesn't have a fixed point at 1. It has to be, 1 is the fixed point under squaring. Perfect. Yeah. That is the perfect example. 1 is the fixed point under squaring, and so is 0. So it's the value that goes in and comes out the same. But also, I am thinking it's actually time for me to get lunch and do some offline pre-visualization type of planning, so I can think of the new graphics that are going into this gap here and this gap here. So I'm going to go M like that. Work in progress. This is just marking the furthest I've come in full completed editing. And I am going to push some buttons here. Hold on. Oops, wrong button. Thank you, everybody, for joining me as I edited my next video. Tomorrow we will be back to doing some RimWorld, so I hope you can join me for that. As always, thank you very much for watching, and if it's your first time watching, please consider subscribing. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you all later. Bye-bye.